All right, hey Tyler, your car is all ready to go over here, man.
Oh, yeah, great. Oh wow, look at me. Oh, that's so good.
X-ray 985, checking back up there.
How's it going?
No, I stopped. Yeah.
I wasn't going fast, was I? Yep, it's a Lamborghini, and I imagine a lot of you are thinking, another YouTuber buys a Lamborghini. How original. I mean, it's so common at this point that it's almost a cliche, right? It's also way out of character for me because this 2004 Lamborghini Gallardo is not broken, not even remotely. It was certainly not the cheapest Lamborghini Gallardo in the USA, and it's certainly not a hoopty. For those of you longing for the days when I would get super excited buying a 1996 Buick Park Avenue Ultra, get off my lot! I'm sorry, clearly I've gone all Hollywood. I do still love Buicks, and I know I just bought the Village Bicycle for car YouTubers, but once you peel past that veneer of Lambo, peel off this label, you find, well, a lot of Audi parts, yes, but also a really special car. Now, I am well aware that being 32 is like 82 in YouTube years, and when I turn 40, nobody's going to still be interested in me buying cheap broken hoopties. And unlike my contemporaries that have skills for finding quirks and features, or actually some mechanical wrenching skills, I have absolutely no talent. The only thing that I've been good at is finding the cheapest broken car and then not being ashamed enough to hide how stupid I was for buying that car, showing you everything and how dumb it was. It's a one-trick pony, but it's been a pretty good ride. But before I beat that horse to death, I decided to indulge myself and buy the nicest car that I could afford. This. For those of you that watched my last video, yes, this is what I traded my 2012 McLaren MP412C for. I did have to give a little bit of cash on top because this car is so nice. It's a 2004 Gallardo with the rare 6-speed manual transmission, and it only has 4,000 original miles. I bought it at the Ferrari dealership in Denver. It was an incredible experience driving out there. I took some footage with me and my friend Drew Casper out there, so I'll show you that, the whole buying process. It was pretty neat. I didn't think I'd get all emotional, especially seeing all the videos of YouTubers buying Gallardos, because this is like the Village Bicycle of YouTube, but now I'm seeing it. Wow. So Vaughn, what's the story on this thing? Because obviously I'm at a Ferrari dealer buying a Lamborghini.
Yeah, a little different, but this car was traded in on an 812 Superfast just a short time ago, and it's an immaculate, super low mileage.
Yeah.
04 Gallardo.
3,800 miles. And it's supposedly not broken. I know I always buy the cheapest broken thing, but it's not the cheapest. And supposedly it's not broken. I'd hope not with 3,800 miles.
This car shouldn't be broken at all, man.
Wow. Holy moly. Look at this thing. Transparent engine bonnet in the back. Oh, it's heavier than I thought. Holy moly. I'm speechless. I am literally at a loss for words. Wow. Oh yeah, the Owen Wilson wows are coming out. For sure. Oh. Blue is my favorite color, and then this two-tone. And normally when I see two-tone on these Gallardos, the bolsters are, say, blue or yellow or whatever. And, you know, it's a two-tone with the seat, but I like that the seat's all one color. Look at this. Oh, and of course, you knew I was going to go with the 6-speed. That's what makes this car. Look at this. It's like a time capsule. It's like I've stepped back into 2004. Actually, according to the instrument cluster, I have stepped back in time to September 23rd, 2003. Wow. Oh. Okay. It's beautiful. I want it. And you actually want my McLaren?
Yeah, we'll take that off your hands. Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank
This
you.
is awesome.
Thanks, sir, for
I got a
doing this.
bunch of stuff to get out of the McLaren though, because Drew came along and he packed an entire wardrobe like he was going to the Orient for 2 months. Okay. Don't stall it on the showroom floor. Drew, we need to celebrate.
Casa Bonita.
There's the only place in Denver you can go to celebrate a Lamborghini purchase.
It's like the Disneyland of Mexican restaurants.
So obviously a completely different experience than what I'm used to. The previous owner had the means to buy a brand new $400,000 Ferrari and traded in this car after driving it a little over 1,000 miles in like a 14-year period. He was the second owner, but he bought it when it was barely 2 years old. And Ferrari of Denver even went to the extra trouble of replacing the original tires. It has brand new Pirelli tires on it. They serviced the car like a 30,000 mile service where they went through the fluids like bleeding the brakes and all that stuff because the car was so original and sat so much. And I had a totally uneventful, flawless 500-mile drive home. It's so different than the normal buying experience that I have that feels like I'm swimming through a scummy pond. This was more like a day at the spa. It was so nice. I could get used to it. Now, I'm well aware there are a lot of options when you get to this price point of exotic car. There's a lot more original and interesting cars that would make great YouTube videos, but I don't think any of them tick as many boxes as this Lamborghini Gallardo. That's why I bought it, just to treat myself, because it is so good. It has so many things that go in the winning column. Now, I'll admit there are some negatives to the Gallardo as well, and the obvious one, the low-hanging fruit for the naysayers, is all of the obvious Audi tech in this car. The instrument cluster, the radio, the climate control, you could find these in a similar era cheap Audi sedan, an A3. No difference whatsoever. And this is Lamborghini's first mass production vehicle. They made 14,000 of these from 2004 to 2014. And by the end of the run of the Gallardo, that accounted for half of all Lamborghinis ever made, ever in history. So the Gallardo in general will never be a super collectible car like Lamborghini's older offerings. Oh wow, look at me. Seeing myself in the rearview mirror. Oh, that looks good. Now I know what Anderson Cooper feels like. God, he looks so cool. All right, it's time for this over-the-hill YouTuber to run the car through its paces. Woo-hoo-hoo! Oh, that's so good. The naysayers don't like this early Gallardo, the 2004, 2005, because it is the slowest one. Now, it's not because of the engine. The engine is a 5-liter V10 that puts out 493 horsepower. That wasn't the problem. The main issue was the gearing. First and second gear are very tall, very long, and that affects this coveted 0 to 60 time that everyone's benchmarked by. So, on paper, my Gallardo could be beaten by cars like a Volkswagen Golf R and a Nissan 370Z Nismo. By 2006, they changed the engine and found another 20 horsepower, but the big difference in the gearing took almost a second off of the 0 to 60 time. Now, most people seek out the newer Gallardos and the later LP ones because they are faster and they do a better job of hiding their Audi bits. But to me, these traits are something that I like. I like that I have the slow Lamborghini. It doesn't feel slow. You can complain about this car being too much Audi all you want, but when you compare it to the older Lamborghinis, especially the cheaper ones, like the Jalpa, the first real every man's Lamborghini, that was total junk in comparison to this, and it was so bad and sold so poorly that it probably hastened the bankruptcy of Lamborghini back in the day. There was a period where Lamborghini went into bankruptcy and was ran by the Italian government before being sold off to Chrysler. Yes, Chrysler, who also had trouble running Lamborghini. Development of the Diablo to replace the Countach was delayed for years because the companies were fighting over what direction to take it, and then some terrible concept cars came out in the interim. One was a Lamborghini kind of minivan, and another one was a sedan that pretty much everybody hated, but that design eventually inspired the first generation Dodge Intrepid. Finally, after several years with Chrysler, they finally cried uncle and sold it to like a Malaysian-Indonesian partnership in 1994, and those people had no idea what to do with Lamborghini. Development started on a smaller, more affordable car under this stewardship, but they really couldn't get off the ground. Either need to have a lot of money, which these people didn't have, or partner up with somebody and share a platform or share some engineering. And that finally happened after a financial crisis in Asia, and this weird Malaysian-Indonesian partnership sold Lamborghini to Volkswagen Audi. And from that, the Murcielago was born, and then later, the Gallardo. This car. Finally, Lamborghini had financial stability and some success, and obviously Audi greatly benefited from this as well because they were able to share a platform with the Gallardo to develop the R8. And people don't like that this Lamborghini shared with the cheaper R8, but I personally don't care because Audi parts are cheaper, way cheaper than Lamborghini prices. Take, for example, the brakes. I can source the front brakes from an Audi RS6 and save myself hundreds of dollars because they bolt right into this Gallardo. No problems. The back brakes actually match up with a Dodge Viper, weirdly. This Gallardo also has a very similar engine computer software to the cheapest Volkswagen, so just about any mechanic can get into this thing and diagnose it, read all the codes they want, with one exception. Early Gallardos especially are plagued with a really terrible E-gear transmission, an automated manual transmission that loves to eat clutches, among other things. The clutches would maybe last 10,000 miles and cost over $10,000 to replace. Thankfully, my Gallardo has the coveted manual transmission, but that only makes up about 10 to 15% of all Gallardos made. It also makes it slower, but I don't care because I'm on an on-ramp right now. I can floor it. Woo! I can hear this car all the way to red line, go through a couple of gears, and be at a speed that's not going to send me directly to jail. Unlike my old McLaren, I'm not going warp speed right now. So I'm having way more fun with this car on public roads than I am a modern supercar with their insane acceleration. Maybe I'm over the hill because I love this thing. I love the fact that it's slower, but it's kind of the way I've always been. I love my old Ferrari 355 right up until the moment that it exploded and burned to the ground. And that's something, thankfully, I don't have to worry about with the Gallardo. It's not finicky like older exotic cars. I don't have to worry about it braking all the time and leaving me on the side of the road. I don't have to worry about engine out belt services or any of that stupid stuff. It's just a car that goes. It starts, it runs, it goes, and it is tons of fun and totally beautiful to look at. It's perfect. I'm also betting that since my Gallardo has the coveted manual transmission, it'll hold its value really well, if not appreciate if I keep it long enough. And that's because this is the last Lamborghini offered with a manual transmission. I've also noticed that it's really hard to find a low mileage, pristine version of a manual Gallardo because most people enjoy these cars, drive them, put miles on them, modify them. So finding one that hasn't been touched with like 4,000 miles is super rare. Still, I'm trying not to get too hung up and paranoid on the miles and not drive this car because I really do want to enjoy it. My first 24 hours of ownership already accumulated half the miles the previous owner put on over the course of 14 years, so I'm doing a decent job of putting this car back to use. Now, I realize having a pristine Lamborghini that I'm not really going to modify or tinker with or ruin isn't going to be the most interesting content for video, but I've got plenty of hoopties in the garage at the Wizards and projects that will last me several lifetimes. So I'm not worried, I have plenty to appease my hoopty fans. But if you like this Gallardo and you want to hear more updates on it, be sure to subscribe to Hoovies Garage, click the button below. And if you don't like this Gallardo, well, hit that button really angrily and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Okay. You probably caught me because I was making a YouTube video talking about how well this thing accelerates and all that stuff. I just got the car yesterday, and I'm dressed in an old man outfit, not too far from my house, changed into pants that have high waters and everything. And my wallet is not in